I remember I walked into a gym when I was 18. 3 years later, I was one of the best in the world. I was a world silver medalist, an Olympic gold medalist, been to the European Games, won the ABAs. You can never underestimate anyone. You can never underestimate anyone because there's new talent coming out of nowhere from all places, and he's a new emerging talent that I've got to take him very serious.
Don't charge that.
The YouTuber turned boxer just unleashed a knockout that has the entire fight community buzzing, and many believe it was aimed directly at Anthony Joshua. This wasn't simply brute strength, it felt like a calculated statement meant to grab Joshua's attention. The moment spread fast across social media, fueling even more hype around Paul's growing confidence.
Your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. Whoop.
The potential clash between these two has become one of the most anticipated discussions in modern boxing. Fans worldwide are dissecting every clip, every quote, and every online update, hoping for even the smallest hint that the fight is locked in. The tension builds each day as supporters on both sides push for this showdown to finally become official. Analysts jumped straight into breaking down the matchup from every possible angle. Some argued that Joshua even entertaining this fight puts his reputation and career history at unnecessary risk. To them, the heavyweight champion has everything to lose and nearly nothing to gain by stepping in with someone many still see as a digital star turned novice boxer. Their concern is that a single unexpected moment could redefine Joshua's image in the public eye.
I was surprised that Jake took the fight rather than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is one of the best fighters in the world. He's a solidified champion. But I'm surprised that Jake took the fight and is fighting a guy that's so dangerous like Anthony Joshua. So I got to take my hat off to him.
Devin Haney watched the situation develop and openly questioned whether Paul would truly commit to facing someone as dangerous as Joshua. His comments carried real concern for Paul's safety. Despite Paul's polarizing reputation, having gone through wars with elite opponents, Haney knows just how massive the skill gap is between Joshua and anyone Paul has fought so far. To him, the physical and technical difference is so great that the matchup barely looks competitive.
Because we were saying that, he's fighting this person past their prime, this person's old and this and whatnot, and now he's fighting, AJ. So you got to take your hat off to Jake.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back for a second when the topic of Jake Paul possibly stepping in against Anthony Joshua came up on his massively followed podcast. He described the idea not as a simple miscalculation, but as willingly stepping into a disaster with eyes wide open. Drawing from years of calling top-level MMA and boxing bouts, Rogan stressed that meeting someone with Joshua's raw force and natural danger goes far beyond scorecards or losing a decision. His point was clear: facing Joshua isn't just a sporting risk. It's a situation where one clean punch can put a fighter in real medical danger. Rogan's tone made it obvious that this matchup carries consequences far more serious than the typical celebrity crossover fight.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua is one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch night guy.
Yeah.
He's a great boxer, very skillful.
Yeah.
When you look at the skills on paper, the gap becomes obvious right away. Joshua brings everything expected from a top-tier heavyweight: knockout power in both hands, polished technique, a stiff and accurate jab, and championship experience earned through battles with the best in the world. His style combines physical dominance with disciplined fundamentals, making him a threat in every second of every round. Against someone still developing like Paul, that level of refinement becomes an entirely different challenge, one that can't be faked or manufactured through hypes. During Rogan's discussion with Wade Plemons from the Wade Concept, these themes kept resurfacing. Plemons explained perfectly why people tune into heavyweight boxing. It's dangerous, unpredictable, and loaded with real stakes. One punch can change everything, turning any fight into a dramatic moment instantly. He stressed that Joshua couldn't treat this matchup as a media stunt because heavyweights don't play around. One mistake can end a night abruptly. That sense of real real danger is exactly what pulls viewers in and separates true elite fighters from personalities testing the waters. Clemens pointed out that heavyweight boxing holds its special place in combat sports because of this exact volatility. Nothing is guaranteed, and every second counts.
I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but it sounds demented, terrifying, and just in the same tone I would want AJ to take this fight. Being there, playing no games, wanting to knock Jake Spark out, El Sparko, cold, because that is what makes Jake Paul or any other fights interesting. A level of danger that we believe, a level of competition that we want to see. And the details, like I said, fire me up. It's a professional bout. This is going on people's records. AJ got to take him serious because this isn't some exhibition. We're running out some judges to act like there's a decision and someone won. No, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose here. It's 8 rounds, 3-minute rounds.
Jake Paul, on the other hand, has shown respectable development for someone only 5 years into his professional career. He's quick-handed, unpredictable at times, and undeniably talented at promoting himself. Over time, he's tightened up his technique, sharpened his timing, improved his defense, and put together combinations that genuinely surprised people who underestimated him. Even critics now admit he has real knockout ability. Still, closing the gap between improving skills and world-class mastery is a challenge very few can overcome. Tony Jeffries shared the same sentiment, echoing Frank Warren and calling Joshua the overwhelming favorite by a wide margin. Jeffries acknowledged Paul's legitimate punching power, his ability to end a fight with one shot, but in his view, that alone isn't enough against someone who has dropped and stopped Olympic level and world-class heavyweights. He made it clear that facing a fighter like Joshua requires more than power. It demands experience, composure, and ring maturity, things Paul is still building. In Jeffries' eyes, this matchup simply tilted too heavily toward Joshua.
You, Jake Paul, is going to win this fight by knockout. You would think I'm absolutely crazy, right? But the thing is, it can happen. 10-ounce gloves, heavyweight, Jake Paul can punch hard. But do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not, mate. Anthony Joshua is an absolute beast, an unbelievable, highly skilled, highly trained, highly experienced professional boxer with power in both hands, and he's really good at finishing people off. And even though I really take my hat off for Jake Paul for taking this fight, I didn't really want to take it because of what's going to happen in the result of this fight.
Dan Rafael added another layer to the conversation, focusing on all the chatter surrounding Joshua's weight. He dismissed the drama outright. Rafael pointed out that Joshua has competed at this weight range many times before, so treating it like a crisis made no sense. To him, the scale readings were nothing more than internet fuel. He reminded everyone that whether Joshua is a few pounds lighter or heavier, it doesn't change who he is or what he brings into the ring. Rafael's straightforward breakdown instantly cut through weeks of rumors claiming Joshua might be drained or compromised, making it clear that none of those theories held real weight.
It's the same as when they made the Jake Paul exhibition against Gervonta Davis and the cap weight was 195. For a guy that's fought in that same ballpark within a few pounds his entire career, except for the Mike Tyson fight. So to tell AJ that he has to weigh 245, he's going to cut literally about 4 or 5 pounds from where he's been for most of his recent fights. And by the way, he's fought plenty of fights under 245. So I don't even view that as a stipulation. It's just nonsense.
Rafael also broke things down from a business perspective. He wasn't convinced the matchup made sense strictly as a boxing contest, but he admitted that financially and strategically, nothing else came close for Joshua right now. It might frustrate purists who want traditional, merit-based matchmaking, but if the goal is worldwide attention and a gigantic payday, this was the obvious choice. That's why the fight is happening despite the risks. Rafael viewed it clearly. Maybe not the strongest sporting matchup, but an undeniable win in terms of revenue. He emphasized that boxing has always blended sport with business, but in the influencer era, the balance has shifted sharply toward fights that create viral noise rather than settle rankings. In today's landscape, earning potential often outweighs pure competitive logic.
Again, I don't love it, but I get it. You know, I understand the business elements, but in terms of just the matchup, if you said to me, you can either see Jake Paul fight Anthony Joshua in an official fight, or you can watch him fight an exhibition match against Tank Davis, I would take him against Anthony Joshua all day long. To me, this is a million times better than what I always have thought was a very ill-conceived event with Tank Davis. So whatever you think about Jake and some of the types of fights that he has made, you got to give him credit for at least Everybody has said for a long time now, fight a real fighter, fight a real boxer. Well, Anthony Joshua was absolutely a real boxer, a real fighter. You can't deny that. Like you said, 2-time world champion.
Chael Sonnen pushed back hard against fans, demanding that Jake Paul be matched with the most dangerous opponents available. People weren't asking for a simple step up, they wanted someone who could genuinely crush the hype around him. Sonnen bluntly said that these calls weren't about fair competition, they were a craving for chaos, speed, and a violent ending. The crowd wasn't just searching for a test, they wanted the illusion shattered with no room for excuses or debate. In Sonnen's view, a lot of people aren't tuning in to cheer Paul O, and they're waiting to see him get humbled for what they believe has been an engineered rise. His honesty captured an unspoken truth circulating across social media. The appetite isn't for a challenge.
So Dana's talking about you're going to get what you asked for. Well, what you asked for is a real fight. What you asked for is for somebody with the power and the danger to beat your ass. What you, the audience, have asked for Jake Paul is that you want to see somebody end this experiment. Do it brutally, do it quickly, do it decisively. And that's what you've got. I think the courage that it takes for Jake Paul to do this, as well as for Joshua. You know, this isn't Joshua's first time doing a spoof fight.
And when the conversation moved to Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, Sonnen doubled down even more. He made it clear that this is exactly the matchup people have been demanding. At last, Paul would be standing in front of a true knockout artist with a resume built on beating real heavyweights. Sonnen argued that fans want this chapter closed, and they want it finished quickly and brutally. This fight isn't just a spectacle anymore, it's a test of reality. To Sonnen, Joshua is the perfect candidate to deliver the answer everyone's been waiting for. He framed the showdown as the sport's ultimate verdict on a long-standing question. Can fame and marketing replace years of grinding through the ranks? Or will the traditional path prove unbeatable? One way or another, Sonnen believes this fight will settle the argument once and for all.
Francis, and this is a completely different kind of that type of fight, but it's still that fight nonetheless. Jake Paul has abilities to win this fight. A lot of them involve moral victories. A lot of them involve getting out of the first round. And a lot of them would involve getting out of the first 2 rounds and haven't been knocked down yet. One would be getting out of the 3rd round, you've only been on the canvas once and you got up to your feet, you shook it off and you're ready to keep going. Like, these things are all victories, but the fight that it's going to happen, I think it's a big deal for Jake Paul. I think it's a big deal for everybody involved.
Everything took a turn when Spencer Oliver stepped out of line with the other analysts and openly challenged the idea of Anthony Joshua stepping in with Jake Paul. He didn't rely on stats or headlines. He spoke like someone who's lived the highs and lows of championship boxing, someone who understands how money, pressure, and expectations all stack up on a fighter who's been at the top. Oliver pointed out that Joshua may have turned down an enormous paycheck, but that didn't lighten the load, it actually increased it. In his view, AJ was now expected to dismantle Jake quickly and cleanly. Anything short of a dominant finish would be criticized as disappointing. Oliver suggested that by agreeing to this matchup, Joshua unintentionally placed himself under massive scrutiny, setting a bar so high that even a solid performance might be judged harshly.
You're gonna get 50 million quid for that or 1 million quid for that, going through the same process. After he beats Jake Paul and ices him, and he's got to do that in 3 minutes, by the way, otherwise it's a lose situation again. But after he does that, there's a certain Fabio Wardley who's just become WBO world champion. Yeah. That could manifest itself, and that could be his route back into
so let me get this right.
When Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver discussed the topic, it wasn't just a disagreement. It turned into a full-on clash. The main question was simple. Should a former heavyweight champion who still wants another title run waste time fighting Jake Paul? Jordan tore into the idea, calling it a distraction and accusing Joshua of preparing for someone like Fabio Wardley by taking what he saw as a cash grab circus. Oliver immediately fired back, accusing Jordan of misrepresenting his stance and exaggerating the risks. What followed was a heated back and forth, with each trying to out-argue the other. Their debate became one of the most replayed moments on sports radio, mirroring the divided opinions within boxing circles about whether the sport should stick to tradition or embrace the entertainment-driven future.
He just has to go through that, getting his hands up, doing the ring walk, getting in there. He's at that stage of his career. You don't need tough warm-up fights to go into a world title fight.
The way you'll be looking at it is it the 12-week training camp, isn't it? And he'll just go straight into a world title fight.
Exactly.
Oliver refused to back down. He argued that Joshua was already lined up for an 8-round warm-up fight against a barely known opponent, so taking on Jake Paul meant getting significantly more money for essentially the same workload. From Oliver's perspective, any fighter would take that deal, but Jordan wasn't buying it. He insisted Jake Paul wasn't just another low-risk opponent and that the dangers of the matchup were being downplayed. Their argument reflected everything fans were feeling: uncertainty, anticipation, and curiosity about whether the spectacle would outweigh the sporting merit. To Oliver, it was financially smart. To Jordan, it was irresponsible and unnecessary. Their exchange highlighted the core dilemma modern boxing faces: choosing between competitive credibility and financial opportunity in a world where attention equals revenue.
He's going to get 50 million quid for that or 1 million quid for that, going through the same process. After he beats Jake Paul and ices him, and he's got to do that in 3 minutes, by the way, otherwise it's a lose situation again. But after he does that, there's a certain Fabio Wardley who's just become WBO world champion. Yeah. That could manifest itself, and that could be his route back into getting the world title.
So let me get this right.
Carl Froch didn't soften his take either. He dismissed the fight as barely competitive. In Froch's eyes, there wasn't much of a real contest to be had. He argued that Joshua's prime has passed and that Joshua himself is aware of it. Like many fighters nearing the end, Froch suggested AJ is now prioritizing big payouts over building his legacy. To him, this fight wasn't about proving anything. It was about securing another huge payday before the final chapter of Joshua's career. Froch's blunt assessment resonated with fans who have noticed the cautious, measured version of Joshua in recent years, a stark contrast to the hungry champion who once bulldozed through the division. His viewpoint painted the fight as a business decision rather than a competitive one, flipping the entire narrative around Joshua's motives. Now, with Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua almost here,
which is like I say, arguably a massive mismatch. It's no way to step towards or climb a ladder to get towards that world title. So this, for me, tells me that Anthony Joshua knows he's finished at any sort of elite level or world level. He won't be trying to go down the world title level anymore. This is just a cash out. So good luck to him. Fair play to him, but hopefully when he's finished this fight, he'll be honest with us and say, listen, I've milked it, I've creamed it, I've had an unbelievable torch at the end of my career.
The anticipation has reached its peak. This isn't just another headliner, it's a career-defining crossroads for both men. For Jake Paul, it's a moment that could either validate everything he's built or expose him completely. For Joshua, it's a massive payday wrapped in serious risk. Fans are glued to the buildup, wondering if Jake can even withstand Joshua's size, power, and championship experience, or if Joshua puts his stamp on the fight from the very first round. One well-timed punch could change everything. This is the type of matchup where reputations get made or shattered instantly. Either Paul proves the doubters wrong, or Joshua risks embarrassment if he can't deliver the emphatic finish expected against a YouTuber turned boxer. So here's the question: who do you think wins it? Smash the like button if you're hyped, drop your full breakdown in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to Boxiverse for more deep dive analysis, exclusive updates, training insights, and everything you need leading up to fight night. We're covering every twist and turn as this historic showdown approaches. Stay locked, you don't want to miss a second of what's coming.